Today, I'll be answering the question, is it possible to beat Pokemon Violet with only Rowlets, with its mediocre base stats, and the limited moves it can learn?
It's no surprise this was a really tough challenge.
And let's start off with the rules of this challenge.
We are only allowed to use Rowlets during this whole run, and we are not allowed to evolve any of the Rowlets.
We start off this run by naming ourselves Bob,
And then we greet our very thick mother by not being suspicious at all. Why did they make our mother such a MILF? I'm not being suspicious.
and experience something out of a romantic thriller. And finally, it was time to pick our starter.
Where's Rowlet?
I guess I'm taking Fly Coco then, just to make our fights with Nemona easier.
And I let a stranger Pokemon eat my lunch.
Complete the start of the game, and then we grab all of our quests to get our motorbike.
From help of my great friend Gnarly4, we managed to get our first Rowlet that we named Birbs. The rest will be coming later when we need them.
Next, we just level up our Rowlet for the first Titan by beating up a bunch of Nackleys. And I make a really weird comment too.
That's the thickest crab I've ever seen.
This fight was really
Easy for us because we had the
type advantage. We terrestrialize
hit it with 2 Leaf Ages and we win.
well the first round because it comes back with a Super Saiyan form.
But then with a couple more Leaf Ages
And help
from Arvin's
Pokemon, we managed to beat our first
Titan.
Mr. Krabs is
Pretty weak.
On our way to get our first gym badge, we have to do this olive rolling challenge. I really don't know what Game Freak was thinking about this one. You're literally rolling an olive. And then after that, we finally make it to the first gym leader, Katie, with her bug types.
Again, like
Cloth, we had the clear advantage because of our flying
type attack.
and we take out Nimble and the 2 Tantula using Pet. But the Teddy Ursa was a
Different story.
and we lost because of Fury Cutter.
But on the second attempt, we buff up our Rowlet with attack ups and defense ups. And maybe a speed up. Just so we had enough firepower to take out the Teddy Ursa, which we easily do. Giving us our first gym badge of this run.
And once again with the flying type advantage, we breeze through Brussius' gym, pecking everything in the way. But we nearly died to the Sudowoodo,
But we managed to take it out before it takes us out.
giving us our second gym badge already.
Hold on, before we challenge that
Thick Team Star Dark type car.
we need backup.
And when I mean backup, I mean more Rowlets.
Finally, a couple eggs later, we have our whole team, and my chat chose some interesting names to say the least,
With the Rizzler being my personal favourite.
So with our team of misfit birds, we goes and challenge the Dark Team Star leader, which is surprisingly really difficult because that Pomwad you see on screen knows the move Aerial Ace, which is super effective against Rowlet.
But with the misuse of attack ups and defense ups, we managed to buff up our Rowlet so it can tank about 5 hits from the Pomwad. And then we use Pluck till it dies.
And the problem with the Dark Starmobile is that
It lowers our attack as
soon as it comes into battle with its ability being Intimidate.
The problem is when the Starmobile uses Snow, it leaves our Rowlet defenseless because it lowers our special defense by 1 every single time. But with some
Potions, revives, and pure strength of a bird. With just 2 Rowlets left, we managed to beat this
with a pluck from
Birbs, giving us our first Team Star badge. Next on the list is a large worm, which wasn't too much of a challenge because it's a steel type.
we just terrestrialized it,
Into a grass type,
hit it with a
Confuse Ray and a bunch of plucks, and this went on for a while, so I'm not
gonna show the full
footage, but basically it was just Orthworm using Wrap, us using Pluck and healing our other birds from dying, until it got low enough to go to a cave to get some Herba Mystica. With the same strategy of the plucking and the grass terrestrialization, me and Arvin make it go bye-bye.
Oh god, I'm so good at scripting.
And then the saddest part of this run when you hear about Arvin's backstory with Mabostiff.
Who said boys don't cry?
Anyways, that's our second Titan done. The next one was
Not so easy as that.
regardless of the typings, we make our way up the
mountain.
what's that falling? Is that
Poop?
I don't know who this bird thinks he is. At this point in the run, I really didn't know what was going through my mind. We switch into the Rizzler and terrestrialize and it immediately dies. I really don't know what was going through my mind at this point. So we switch in Birbs again, using X defense and get a little bit of damage off with Pluck. And then we switch into Bomber, which immediately goes into the red, but we managed to get some damage off with Pluck. Then we revived Birbs and call it in to make a final blow on Bombarder.
And for round 2, we were lucky Arvin had a Knackley with Rock Throw because that done a ton of damage. And with our teamwork we managed to beat Bombardier, giving us our 3rd Titan badge. After that we head to Lavencia where we can challenge the super cute gym leader that's also a YouTuber. I'm not a simp, I swear. And with a shocking performance from Iono's fans we managed to defeat them all, meaning we can challenge Iono now. And we lead with Birbs, which gives us an amazing performance, killing the Watcher with 2 sucker punches. Next, Belly Bolt deals a terrific amount of damage, so we have to terrestrialize it into a grass type so that immunity goes away. And we use a super potion as well. After landing a Confused Ray and a couple more Razor Leaves, the Belly Bolt goes down. Then we proceed to get flinched 3 times by the opposing Luxio that has Bite. And with sheer luck we take out the opposing Luxio with a sucker punch, leaving its Bismagius next. Which you wouldn't think would be a challenge, but Hex does a hell of amount of damage, 2-shotting us and leaving us dead. And for some miracle the Rizzler managed to hang on 1 HP and the Confusion to land a Razor Leaf, killing Mismagius, giving us our 3rd gym badge. The first attempt of trying to defeat the Fire Team Starbase Mela, we die. So we go back to Area 2 to do some EV training on Shinx for attack and defense. And me being a nerd, always looking out for shiny Pokemon, did I find any? Well, no. But moving on, after our strong training session, deleting the whole Shinx population, we attempt the Fire Team Starbase once again. In this battle we lead out with Bomber and go for a pluck to get a little bit of chip damage in before Bomber dies to a Flame Wheel. Then I repeat this for 2 more birds. And with our highly trained Birbs, we go in with a Brave Bird knocking out the Torkoal. And we get another Brave Bird off because it went for a Screech, which is perfect. But then unfortunately Birbs gets one-shot by Blazing Torkoal. And then we go in with the Rizzler terrestrializing and using Plug. It didn't do too much damage, but just a little bit. After healing back and forth, the Rizzler finally goes down. With only a sliver of health left, Female comes in, but it dies straight away. But then 1 sucker punch from Bomber wins us our 3rd Team Star badge. Things only start heating up from here. And if you're wondering why there's no Rowlet overlay from now on, my PC kinda crashed during this run, so all of the scenes got reset. Subscribe for my own sanity. And after spending Kofu's life savings on Seafood, we get to challenge him in a gym battle, which was pretty easy because we have the type advantage. The loser goes down to 1 Razor Leaf and a Sucker Punch. We terrestrialize Birbs and one-hit the Wugtrio with Razor Leaf. After getting Kofu's ace into the red, Birbs goes down by a Body Slam. So we switch into Bomber and go for the Sucker Punch, winning us our gym badge. Proceeding on, the next massive obstacle in the way of this run is the Poison Team Starbase. Being severely underleveled, plus the typings, this was a really difficult fight. And I'm sure you can tell what happened. So to put our mind off our devastating loss, we go to Medalia to challenge Larry, the normal type gym leader. After we done the gym test, it was finally time to challenge Larry. So in this battle, Larry leads out with Kamala, so we lead out with Birbs, and we one-shot the Kamala with Brave Bird. Next is the Dunsparce, which we get a Brave Bird off, but it only puts it on half health, meaning the Dunsparce manages to paralyze us with Glare. And then one-shotting Birbs with Hyper Drill. So we switch into the Rizzler and terrestrialize into a flying type and use Brave Bird, and that kills the Dunsparce. And on the next turn, Staraptor terrestrializes and it does so much damage with Face Shade, one-shotting us after we potioned. Bomber comes in and survives an aerial ace, meaning it can get a Brave Bird off, putting Staraptor on half health, but that means Bomber goes down with the Brave Bird. The same goes for MJ, comes in, tanks an aerial ace and manages to defeat Staraptor with a Brave Bird, but dies in the process. I like to call it the suicidal bird strat. Don't try this at home, kids. After showing Larry's who boss, Nemona demands to battle us, so we battle her. Lycanroc manages to take out our Birbs with a Cellarrock a couple times. So MJ comes in and gets a Razor Leaf off, so it dies. We manage to one-shot the Goomy with Brave Bird. Getting left on just 1 HP, MJ manages to push through the paralysis and gets a Brave Bird off, killing the Pormo. And finally we bring in the Rizzler to terrestrialize it and one-shot the Meowscarada. After a lot of researching and a lot of thinking, I decided that it would be best if we got a Water Terror type for our Rowlet. So we grinded Water Terror raids for hours and hours with help from my great friend Shiny Hunter, until we had enough Water Terror shards to turn Birbs into a Water Terror type, just to even the odds a little bit. And once again we challenged a Poison Team Starbase.
With Articus leading out with Skuntank, we lead out with the Rizzler. He manages to tank a Venoshock before getting a Brave Bird off and dying to another Venoshock. And then the same goes for Birbs, but we manage to defeat the Skuntank. Next is Muck, which we outspeed and get an amazing Brave Bird off, doing a lot of damage. And the Muck manages to get us in the red with Sludge Wave. And we stupidly go for a Pluck, which doesn't even kill the Muck, leaving it on 1 HP. And killing us next turn with Sludge Wave. So we call in Zoe to Sucker Punch it, killing the Muck. Before Zoe going down, we get a Brave Bird off on the Revive room, doing about a quarter of damage. So we send in Birbs with his newly water Terror type and to use Terror Blast, doing a nice amount of damage towards the Revive room and knocking it out on the next turn. Next is the Navi Starmobile. After healing back and forth, Birbs finally goes down for the Suicide Bird but does a lot of damage in the process, resulting in Michael Jackson coming in with the Brave Bird and the Sucker Punch. And with just one Rowlet left, Female manages to take out the Navi Starmobile with Brave Bird on 35 HP, winning us one of the hardest battles on this run so far. And our next major battle is against Rhyme, the Ghost type gym leader. And for some reason the format of this gym is doubles. We start off with MJ and the Rizzler, and off the bat we terrestrialize MJ for a normal Terror type. You get 50 Terror Shards for free, so I decided to use them on MJ. On our first turn, the Rizzler went for a Protect while MJ going for a Sucker Punch to get rid of Mimikyu's disguise. And the reason I done that because I knew that Bayonet had Icy Wind. We do a little bit more damage on the Mimikyu and we nearly take the Bayonet out with Brave Bird, after the Rizzler nearly dies to an Icy Wind. But on the next turn, the Rizzler takes out Bayonet with a Sucker Punch. And MJ goes down to a Discharge and a Play Rough. And the Toxicity and the Houndstone both go down to Sucker Punches, meaning we win this gym battle. And before challenging the Psychic type gym, we get rudely interrupted by Nemona. Off the bat, Birbs manages to dodge a Rock Slide, meaning the Lichen Rock goes down with ease. We also manage to one-shot the Sliggoo with Brave Bird. The Pawmot manages to paralyze us with Spark, but we get into the orange with Brave Bird. And Birbs goes down on the next turn, with the Rizzler finishing it off with a Sucker Punch. And then finishing Nemona's ace off with one Brave Bird and a Sucker Punch, winning us this battle. Tulip starting with, holy, that's a massive giraffe. And we send out Birbs. After getting a Brave Bird and a Terror Blast off, and taking a little bit of damage in the process, Faragirith goes down to a final Brave Bird. Next up is Gardevoir. We go for a Sucker Punch before getting taken out by Psychic. Then Bomber comes in and tanks a Psychic to get a Brave Bird off, putting the Gardevoir into the red. With 8 HP left, Bomber manages to Sucker Punch the Gardevoir and it dies. Then the Asparathur takes us out with a Quick Attack. Then we proceed to come in with Michael Jackson and terrestrialize, getting off 2 Sucker Punches and one with a critical hit, getting the Asparathur very low. Finally, we bring out the Rizzler to put an end to Asparathur, meaning the Rizzler gets about 3/4 of Florica's health before going down. And finally, we switch into Female and manage to get a tanky Brave Bird off so it goes down, meaning we've won this gym. After all of them shenanigans, we go beat up a robotic elephant in the desert. With Birbs, we only managed to get 1 Leaf Blade off for being taken out by an Iron Head. And then we call in Female to terrestrialize and get a Bullet Seed off and a Sucker Punch, doing a lot of damage. And then finally we call in MJ to give the thing a final blow with 3 Sucker Punches. And then for round 2 we terrestrialize into a Water type, which we should have done at first, getting off about 5 Terror Blast and a Fire Fang from Scovillian, winning us this Titan battle, which wasn't too hard. I would do anything for that poor Mabo Stiff. Continuing. And on our path to beating this game, we make a child cry by beating up her whole team of fairy types, using defense ups, attack ups, and sweeping with a water terror type bird. Ortega, how embarrassing is it just to get swept by one Rowlet when you have a team of a Wigglytuff, a Azumarill, Dushbun, and a straight up big ass car? Like, that's a skill issue when I see one. And then after that she has a tantrum, so she decides to hand in her notice in Team Star. After completing the gym test of cruising down the ice with Miraidon, we make it to the hardest gym leader of this run so far. And just remember, Rowlet has a 4 times the weakness to Ice-type Pokemon, so this was definitely the most hardest gym of this challenge. We start off with female, and right off the bat we take out the Frostmoth with a Brave Bird. Before this battle I equipped 3 of my Rowlets with focus sashes so they could do a bit of damage to the ice type Pokemon before going down in one hit. But annoyingly, Zoe gets flinched on the Icicle Crush, so we just heal up our other bird, after getting taken down by another Icicle Crush. After that, we send in female with a Brave Bird doing about a quarter of Beartic's health before going down. Like again, I like to call it the suicide bird method. Don't try this at home once again. Next, Birbs comes in and terrestrializes into a water type to get rid of the ice type weakness. And it manages to take the Beartic down with Brave Bird. And while the Titan was out, I took my chance and I used some special defense ups to have a chance against the Altaria that's coming up next. On the first turn we do about half of Altaria's health before getting blown with a really strong hurricane. But on the preceding turn, Birbs manages to tank out the Altaria, meaning we have defeated all of the gyms. And one of the hardest battles in this game. And before challenging the Elite Four, we take care of a massive fish and beat up the fighting Team Star Carmobile, which weren't too difficult. And then we proceed to train our Rowlets up with HP by defeating the whole population of Marials. And once again, to stand a chance in the Elite Four, me and my friend Shiny Hunter grinded Ice Terror Raids and Fire Terror Raids, meaning we have them 2 Terror types on our team now. As our run is almost over, I'm thinking to myself, was it really worth it? All those memories I spent for 2 weeks grinding, battling, seeing birds die over and over. Am I really worthy of challenging the Elite Four? All those deaths, all the memories. I don't think there's any turning back now. So let's show them what a whole team of Rowlet can do. Let's go. The first Elite Four member is Rika with her ground types. As she leads with Whiscash, we lead with Birbs. Immediately terrestrializing into a water type, and we one-shot it with a Leaf Blade. After tanking a very nasty Earthquake, we managed to kill the Donphan on the next turn with Terra Blast. One-shotting Dugtrio as well with Terra Blast. And the same fate for Camelot. As Rika's ace comes in, we turn to Michael Jackson to finish the job with 2 Leaf Blades. Next on the Elite Four is Poppy with her Steel-type Pokemon. Again, we go for the same strategy with Birbs and terrestrializing off the bat. A couple of Brave Birds later, the Copper Roger is dead, but Birbs is looking very low. And the only strategy for this Magda Zone, because it has no weaknesses, is to just keep coming in with Sucker Punches and sacrificing about 3 Rowlers. But after a lot of Sucker Punching, it finally goes down. For the Corviknight, we switch back into Birbs, who's still got that Water Terror type, and use 2 Terra Blasts before getting taken down by a Brave Bird. But the Corviknight goes down next turn to 1 Sucker Punch by Bomber. And Poppy's Bronzong goes down to 2 Sucker Punches. But on the last turn, Birbs manages to tank a Stone Edge and manages to take the Tinkaton out. Next up in the Elite Four is Larry, which was one of the easiest. We terrestrialize into an Ice type right off the bat, and the Tropius goes down to a Terra Blast. And the same goes for Staraptor, but we get left on 15 HP by a close combat. And we switch out to MJ because that Altaria knows Flamethrower, just to get a little bit of chip damage off with Sucker Punch. The Rizzler manages to tank a Flamethrower and take down the Altaria with Terra Blast. Oricorio goes down to 1 Terra Blast and a Sucker Punch. And the final Pokemon left is Flamigo, Larry's ace, which almost takes us down to a close combat, surviving on 1 HP for the Focus Sash to pop. But on the following turn it goes down to a tanky Terra Blast, meaning the final Elite Four member faces us. We used the Rizzler to terrestrialize into an Ice type to take out the Noivern with 1 Terra Blast. With the Haxorus we switch into Birbs, get 1 Brave Bird and a Sucker Punch before going down to 2 Rock Tombs, and calling in Zoe to get the final Sucker Punch on Haxorus. With the Dragal we get 1 Brave Bird off before going down to a Sludge Bomb. Then we switch back into the Rizzler to give it a final blow with Terra Blast. Next turn we switch into Bomber so we can get 1 Brave Bird off, defeating the Flapple. Next is a really difficult Pokemon Batcalibur. Outspeeding my whole team, the only way we could win this is by the Focus Sash, meaning we could get a really good Terra Blast off and finishing it off with Sucker Punch. Only the champion awaits us now. Me and my team of birds have come so far, we're not gonna let everyone else at home down. While the champion leads with a Asparathur, we lead with Birbs, dealing a Sucker Punch that is a critical hit, dealing about 3/4 of its health. And on the next turn, taking out the Asparathur with 1 more Sucker Punch. Next is Gita's Veluza, which we get in a Sucker Punch before going down to an Ice Fang. So we call in a female, getting off a nice Bullet Seed and a Sucker Punch. meaning the Veluza goes down with ease. Next is a massive problem, his name is Avalugg. So to deal with the Avalugg, we send in Michael Jackson and Terrestrialize into a fire type. And using X defenses, we max out our defense, one-shotting the Avalugg and the King Gambit on the next turn. Also, the same thing happens for Go-Goat, which brings her to Gamora, her final Pokemon. We managed to live a Sludge Wave, getting a Leaf Blade off thanks to the Focus Sash, getting one more Sucker Punch in before going down to a Rock type Terra Blast. And then we call Michael Jackson back in to get one Sucker Punch before going down to Terra Blast. But with pure strength, Zoe manages to come in with one Sucker Punch, defeating Glimora, meaning we beat the champion, and my reaction was pretty insane. Oh my god, we actually did it, no way. After convincing Penny, Nimona and Arvin in battle, we all head to Area 0, unlocking our final quest, the way home. And using the amount of candies we got from all of the Terra raids, we managed to make our whole team level 100 for the final fight of this challenge, against the AI Turo and his team of Paradox Pokemon. Being severely over-leveled gave us the huge advantage in this battle. Straight away we terrestrialized and we one-shot Iron Moth with Terra Blast. We managed to tank 2 Thunder Punches with Bomber before the Iron Hand goes down to 2 Brave Birds. We switch back into Birbs and tank a Freeze Dry, being on 30 HP, we one-shot the Iron Bundle with Leaf Blade. And that's the same fate for Iron Thorns too, but it's Zoe instead. And with Zoe being out, we one-shot Iron Jugulas with Brave Bird, leaving the Professor's final Pokemon, Iron Valiant. Before getting an attack off, Zoe goes down to a Poison Jab, meaning we call in Female to finish the job off. And that's how I managed to beat Pokemon Violet with only Rowlets. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like the video and subscribe, as both really helps me out. This was Ollie, aka Shiny Autism, and I'll see you guys next time.